Hello, everyone. How are you today? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining us today on a Saturday morning. Today, we're going to have a session that probably some of you, especially the ones that attend our Education USA Bootcamp, already have an idea of what to expect. But today we're going to review a little bit of the CV. This document is quite important because it will give the committee an idea of your journey, of your professional and academic journey. So today we're going to have a very interesting workshop. It's not going to be a session, but a workshop. And as all of you know, my name is Mabel Martinez. I'm the advisor, one of the advisors in Guadalajara. And with me today for the workshop part of this activity, I'm happy to count with my colleagues, Juan Manuel Molina, Jenny Diaz, and Edith Melendez. All of them are going to help me in a little bit with an activity that we have prepared for you on breakout rooms, okay? So feel free, please, to turn on your cameras. I'd like to see your faces. And thank you, Flor. You already did that. So let's start. So before we start, with thumbs up, please tell me who from here attend to our Education USA Opportunity Funds Bootcamp, the bootcamp that we did to prepare your applications. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 4. Okay, 4 out of more than 10, I think. Okay, awesome. So probably most of the information will be the same because I already did that session. But the important thing will be the one that we do on the breakout groups. For all of you that didn't attend to the bootcamp, let's share a couple of general rules and format about the CV. The first and most important difference with a regular CV, the one that you are used to use here in Mexico, is the photo. Please do not include photographs or sensitive information. And for sensitive information, I mean gender, nationality, age, everything that you consider it's information that the committee might think is not relevant. So for example, this type of information is basically in order to avoid discrimination. So if you include in your CV that you are Mexican, you cannot say the committee maybe can be biased in a sense, but if you don't include that information, they have to evaluate you for the information that is included specifically on your CV. So if you don't include nationality, age, gender, if you're married or not, that gives you the committee the perspective of really focus on the person and on the credentials and on the things that he or she did, okay? Try to do not lie, inflate titles or responsibilities. This is very common, especially when you try, because you try to impress on your CV, but at the end of the day, your CV will be with other documents, your essay, your application. Sometimes they are going to interview you. So if you lie about your responsibilities or your titles at some point during the process, they are going to tell. And we since the US works on, they are not going to ask you to include, or it's not general, it's not that common that they ask you to include constancias or any type of evidence that you did A, B, C, or D activity that you include. They are based on the principle of trust what you said. So if they cut a lie, that doesn't look good for you, okay? So on a general rule, we're gonna use only one font, Arial, whatever font you like that it looks professional, use it, but try to do not mix fonts, and try to use fonts that goes from 10 to 12 point. It's not mandatory, but try to create a CV that is easy to read, okay, and that it looks good on paper. Use capitals, bolds, italics, and underline wisely. We don't want to see everything underlined because you think it's important. Be smart when using this type of highlights. Only include information from university and beyond. This is something similar with the essays that we have been seeing. Try to do not include information from high school, at least, is extremely important. For example, if you won a high school national contest or international high school contest, you might include that because that's quite relevant. But if you didn't do that and you want to include where did you study your high school, that will not be relevant, especially, for example, if you are going to apply for a PhD, okay? So length is going to vary. Usually we advise that you have a CV around 1 or 1.5 pages. It will depend on the information. If you consider you need more pages, that will be okay. But please talk with your advisor and see if it's necessary to include that 2 pages. Okay, so I'm going to show you some key points. This PDF was provided by our colleagues from Binghamton University. They have a really good handout about how to construct a CV, how to construct a resume, how to stand out on interviews. It's a very good handout. So this information is from the, if you would like to have the whole PDF, I can share it with you as well, but we're going to focus only on the CV, part. And as you can see that there, a CV is an overview of your educational and scholarly background and accomplishment as they relate to your academic career goals. And this is very important for you to understand. It says as they relate to your academic career goals, because the information that you are going to include in your CV has to be related with your academic career goals. Please try to avoid include information if you work on a Starbucks, for example, and if that experience that you have is not linked to your career goal, please do not include that. It's not about the amount of information that you include, but the quality of the information and how it's related or linked to your specific purpose in grad school, okay? In academia, the CV is the foundation of applications for employment, funding, honors and awards, fellowships, teaching or research positions in universities or colleges. So this is a document that you are going to use right now, when you are applying to universities, when you are applying to work with a specific researcher, in the case of the PhD students, that you are going to use for asking to have teachings or research positions or any other type of scholarships when you are applying to X or Y university, but you can also use this document once you are in your university to get jobs within the campus in your institutions, okay? Or if you want to have another experience in other type of fields, you can use your CV. So you can use this document now, prior you get accepted into institution, and once you are accepted in your institutions, okay? So try to create it thoughtfully. A CV is quite different than a resume. Again, similar to the essays that they are personal statement, personal statement of purpose, sometimes those terms are used interchangeable, is the same case here. These resume and CV sometimes are interchangeable, and sometimes your CV will look or might look like a mix of both, but they have some differences that I think it's worth to mention. So for start, the purpose. A curriculum vitae is more focused on your educational and professional experience, including publications, presentation, professional activities, honors, and additional information. Likewise, your resume outlines your personal education and work-related experience in relation to a position. A resume is more to find a job, and your curriculum vitae is more to achieve academic grants, academic scholarship, is more for academic purpose. No, it's not that related to the job field. The position type, a resume is more focused on the business, not-profit, technical fields, and other positions not related to the academic field. And the CV is more faculty, research, clinical, specific position, graduate school application, or when requested. The length, 1 or 2 pages for a document on a resume. The CV, 2 or more pages in length, depending on your qualifications and level of experiences. So we have seen CVs of 15 pages, but from doctors that have more than 20 years of experience in a specific field, right? And the focus is different. Resume focuses strengths and qualifications, again, for a specific position, and your CV is more a comprehensive biographical statement. And that's why most of the university ask you for a CV instead of a resume, because they want to see the overall of you. Okay, so keys to a well-constructed CV. It has to be organized, it has to be consistent, it has to be tailored, it has to be clear, and it has to be accurate. Why it has to be organized? Because they have to contain specific categories that are relevant to your experience, and we are going to see that in a while. It has to be consistent in terms of the space that you use, the margins. It has to look pretty. It has to good look. Okay. You can include your name and page numbers if you have more than 2 pages. If not, it's okay. You can ignore that. It has to be clear. Use concise and unambiguous language. I know that most of you probably want to share with the community that you understand a topic and you want to speak very fancy, but at the end of the day, the CV is about communicate And if at some point you try to look extremely fancy and you are not communicating well, it's better to use simple language, but that is very clear, that use probably not probably fancy words that will not express the best of your work. It has to be accurate. Everything on your CV should be accurately presented, and please check your grammars and ask others to review it before finalizing. Okay, so proofreading, it will be very, very, very valuable. And it has to be tailored. There are general standards for academic CV, and we're going to see that now. So the two main sections that a CV needs to include is the contact information and education. It doesn't matter if you are going to apply to a PhD, to a master, to an undergraduate degree. Either way, you need to include those two sections, contact information and education, and they have to go in that order. First, your contact information, and then your education. Okay, those two sections are, to put it that way, are mandatory. Contact information and education. The rest of the sessions will depend on your experience and what other sessions you can include. You can include education, grants received, professional service, research experience, publications, presentations, teaching experience. So I'm gonna let this image here, and now I would like for you to take 5 minutes to write on your computer, on a piece of paper, select the possible sections that you think can go into your CV. If you can help me with that, you will have 5 minutes. Starting now. Ah. Yes, Elena.
I have this question when I was elaborating my CV when sending to this Opportunity Funds program with the certifications and licensures. And my question is, for example, the courses and diplomas. It's in this section, or for example, in programs and workshops. I'm not sure about it.
Yeah. Let's wait for the rest to finish, and I will answer your question. And also Mauricio have a specific question. And just a few minutes for the rest to finish to select the sections, and then I will answer that. One more minute, guys. Okay, can you thumbs up if you finish, please? If not, it's okay, I can give you more time. Okay. I'm sharing my screen, so I'm not sure. I think not everyone has finished, so we're gonna give a few more minutes. Interesting questions. Okay. One more minute. Okay, I think we are good to go. Does everyone finish? Yeah. Can you put it in the chat your yes, no, maybe? Yes. Yes, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I think we're good to go. Okay, for those of you that asking questions. So Adriana asked a very interesting question. And the beauty about the CV is that you only will have 2 mandatory sections, information and education, but the rest of the sections will depend on how you want to communicate with, on how you want to communicate the committee, the things you have learned. In your case, Adriana, for diplomados, you can include it under certifications, but also if you have other type of experience, for example, some of my advisees has diplomados from Coursera and also in person. And they also have some certifications that are awarded by because they are teachers, by their university. So what the name that we include in our CV for all those type of things was professional development certifications or professional development courses, because sometimes it's not only diplomas, they are also courses. So that might be a way that you can include it. But also, if you believe that certification reflects better the things that you took, you can include it in that way. So you are going to work with, and that's one of the advantages that you have a support advisor. You are going to communicate with him. You are going to review all the things, that courses that you have done, and you can include it under any of these sections, or you can come up with a better, improved section name. Okay. Does that answer your question, Adriana?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, good. So we have other questions on the chat. In my case, if received several scholarships to fund my bachelor's degree, I should include them in the education section or create a specific section for that. For scholarships, I suggest that you include it in scholarships. You can put it under the name of scholarships and awards, or honors and awards, and you can include all the scholarships that you have received so far under that category. Included the Opportunity Funds grantee scholarship. Include the Opportunity Funds scholarship. So include your title as grantee. Okay, so if I want to scholarship from the DAD to study abroad, would that be a grant or honors and awards? I think honors and awards. Also, will this scholarship, the opportunities will be in grants or? I think I just answered that question. I think also answer the question from Luis Fernando. Should we mention in any section that we are Opportunity Funds Program 2003 grantees? Yes, under scholarships, honors, and scholarships and awards, or honors and awards. Summer schools will go into programs and workshops sections. Summer schools, you mean like an abroad experience, like exchange, academic exchanges? If you mention like academic exchanges, you can include it under education. But again, it will depend if you have if you want to highlight it as your education, or maybe you did a summer school for volunteer, and maybe it will go fit better into the volunteer category.
More like summer schools that some universities and institutions offer, where they teach something. Like, for example, there is a physics summer school from UNAM, or a quantum computing summer school from IBM. So those are like courses, and we do some like projects and things like that. So no, not like a exchange, but yeah, that
Mhm.
kind of summer schools.
That's interesting. I don't know. I don't know. I think I will need more information about what did you do there. Because depending on the activities that you did, maybe if you did research on that, summer schools can go into research. But I will encourage you to talk with your advisor. For now, you can share also that question in your breakout room, because we're gonna have time to work on your CV during the breakout rooms. And I think let's see what happens there. But in the meanwhile, try to think how many courses you took and what did you do on those summers, because the CV will be about what did you learn there, not so much the name of the program. Okay, if my professional experience, it has been developed teaching, where I can put that. Teaching, like teaching experience, are not the same. Diploma is your título, diplomado is a certificate or certification. Thank you, Juanma. Same question. I gave workshops in my faculty and tutoring. And I don't know if it's okay to put in teaching experience. That's interesting question. If you impart workshops and tutoring, I will say that they might fit in your teaching experience if you impart them. If you impart that, I think they might go there. Again, it will depend on how you structure what you did on your CV. For now, I just wanted that you select some of these possible sections, because we're going to work on breakup rooms and we're going to start creating our CV. Okay. Just a few things that I want to share before moving on to a template that we are going to work on our breakup rooms. If you have presentations, conferences, I have seen a lot that sometimes if you attend to a congress, or if you attend to a conference, or if you attend a presentation, you want to include it on your CV. Please don't do that. You only are going to include presentations, conference, congress, if you impart them. If you have given that talks, okay? List all tasks you have given, including the names, dates, and locations when were presented. If you attend only as an observer, it will not count on your CV. On your CV, we need to reflect activities where you had a main role, okay? Yes, poster presentation counts for this section if you did it or present. Yes, Adriana.
I was wondering if in this section it could be I was invited as a speaker for a panel. I don't know if it's
yeah, if you participate as a speaker, yes, you include it. Yes. The publications, this is a very interesting section, especially for those that are going to a PhD. Of course, if you have publications, you might include it, but if there's some of your paper in review, they are not published yet, you work on something, there's a section here that is called works in progress. So it doesn't have to be published, but if you are working on something that is at some point going to be published or presented, or it will have an impact, you can include it under works in progress. So it's not necessary to be published to include it. Okay. Honors and awards, certifications, professional affiliations and services, especially of some of you that are going to, for example, it comes to my mind, someone that goes to civil engineering that has el Colegio de Ingenieros Civiles. He or she belongs to the Colegio de Ingenieros Civiles. If you are a member of any of these affiliations or services, you can include it here. And as you can see, there's a reference section that, at least for the for building our CVs, now we are not going to include it, because on your applications you will have to submit letters of recommendations, and that will serve as your reference. So the reference section, please do not include it here. Okay. But these sections are probably the most common ones. Sorry, I skipped research and teaching, but I think those are pretty clear. Research and teaching. Okay. And now I would like to show you some examples. Some examples of, I'm going to share with you this. You will be able to see the examples with some carefully once you have it. But for now, I just want that you make a quick scan and see that the CV doesn't have a photograph, doesn't have sensitive information, as I explained before. And something that I didn't mention that I think it's good to mention now is that most of the CVs are plain. You don't need to include color. You don't need to include frames. Colors and creative CVs, colorful CVs, and more like artistic CVs are more specifically for someone that is going into arts. But all of you, I think, that are going to different fields than art. So please try to keep the design plain, but easy to read. If you can see, this type of CVs are easy to read. It has education, teaching experience. You can identify very quickly what the sections are, and you can identify very quickly your name, where did you study, what did you study, when did you do it. Okay, so that can be a way. This is other type of format with a little line under the education sections. But basically, as you can see, everything first, like your name and education, the two main sections will always be first. And the way you include your sections will depend on what you want to highlight. For example, if your research experience is your greatest, is the one thing that you want to highlight, you should include it after the education sections. For example, here, he or she include the teaching experience. In the other case, he include the certifications. And there are other examples around here where there include experience, they include leadership experience. So it will depend on how you structure your CV, okay? Other thing is that the admission committee, it takes around a few seconds to review your CV. So that's why we insist that it has to be clear, consistent, and it has to be really easy to read. And I just wanted to make sure to give you the right information. Highlight your strengths and what is most relevant to the potential employer, in this case, the admission committee. Incoming resumes are typically reviewed in 10 to 30 seconds. You will only have 10 to 30 seconds for the committee to keep reading your CV. That's why it's so important that you work on having a well-structured CV. Okay, so again, I'm gonna share this with you. But for now, I'm gonna explain a little bit how you are going to construct your CV. So you have your, we have talked about that in the first place, you're gonna have your name. So you are going to include your name. There's no any doubt about that. Then you have to include your email. Please include a professional email. Sometimes you will have the email that you create when you were in high school. So sweetboy@hotmail.com, please try to avoid that. Anything that doesn't sound professional, please avoid that. You will also include your phone number, your address. It's optional. You don't have to include your where you live. It's totally optional. It's totally optional. And also it's optional to include your LinkedIn blog. In this section, if you have a LinkedIn profile, if you have a blog that can be complementary to your CV, you can include it here. If you have a blog, if you have a LinkedIn or any other type of information that is complementary to your CV that will reflect your work, you can include it there. Okay. If your LinkedIn is pretty much the same that is on your CV, do not include it. At least you have validations on your LinkedIn page. If you use a lot LinkedIn, there's a section where it says someone validates what I'm saying or that has worked with you. If you have that, please include it because that's good. But otherwise, do not include it. You will have the education section. And here you have to include the name of the institution where you study and what did you study, right? Bachelor's of Arts in theater, or Bachelor's of Science in Mechanical Engineer, or Bachelor's of in Mechanical Engineer. You are going to include your GPA. And when I said include your GPA, you don't have to convert it. You just have to include it and include the scale. For example, 9 out of 10. And with that will be more than enough for universities to understand that your GPA was 9 and the scale was 10. If you did a thesis, you can include it here. If you did a thesis in order for you to graduate, you can include it here. The name of the thesis, and that will be all. But this is totally optional. If you did an exchange, you can include it here. And you will include on the right side where your university is. If you haven't graduated yet, you can include expected, the day you expected to graduate, the month at least, if you don't have the exact date. And then we are going to go to experience, any type of experience that you have. For example, let's say we're gonna include here your professional experience. Okay, we need the name of the organization and where that organization is located. If you don't want to include the city, it's okay, but at least we need the state. Jalisco, Mexico, Chihuahua, Mexico, your start date and your end date, and your title, what title, what you were there, but doing what? I was an analyst, I was chief editor, whatever you, sorry about that, whatever the position you had. And then we're gonna, everything that we did, everything we learned on that specific position, we're gonna describe it, but with bullet points. So how are you going to construct those bullet points? You are going to use something, you're going to use a verb. And for that, we're going to refer to this to this document. So there are a lot of verbs that you can include when explaining or describing an activity. So for example, if you evaluate, if you plan, if you formulate, if you did something on the planning activities, you can use all these verbs. If you work organizing events or organizing any other type of activities, you can use all of these verbs. If you are more like an executor, you can use all of these verbs. If you want to highlight your leadership skills, you can use all of these verbs. Problem solving, all of these verbs. Communication, all of these verbs. I'm going to share with you this activity once you go into this document, once you go into the breakout rooms, so you can see it and you can analyze which verb will be better to use depending on the activity that you did. Okay, so you have to describe any accomplishment that you achieved at your job. Explain what you did, how you did it, why you did it, and what the results were when possible. Okay, whenever possible, quantify the number of people's items, data that you work with. Use present tense for the verbs describing that you are currently performing the job. So, and Mabel, how I do this? So basically, in the second part, it is explained. So basically, we're going to work under a specific formula to describe an accomplishment. It will result, action, problem. That will be how you will construct a good bullet point. For example, a simple vague bullet point will be, I assist with general upkeep and organization on homeless shelter. That is a very vague activity. A sample good bullet point will be, I prepare and serve meals to 50 homeless male residents, maintain, organize of supply, closet, and distribute resources to residents as needed, and I act as a liaison between program participants and staff members. Sounds better, right? Why? Because it is more descriptive. You here see that he or she handled 50 homeless male residents, okay? And you know specifically what he or she did. He maintained organization of supply closets and distribute resources. So this is quite very important when you are constructing your bullet points. You need to be specific, include numbers, and when possible, outcomes or results of that specific activities. Okay. So far, so good. Yeah.
I
Okay.
just have a question with the GPA, sorry. So when I did my first CV that I used to apply, I put 95.38. That's what I got. Do I put 95.38 out of 100, or do I just leave it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Only always use the scale.
Okay, thank you.
If I got a 10 out of 10 GPA in the Mexican grade scale, is there a specific translation? No, 10 out of 10 will be. Okay, good. So awards, publications, presentations, I think now the bullet point, how to construct the bullet points, I think is the main, it will be the heart of your CV. So this will need a lot of practice. It's not difficult, but you will need a lot of practice. And for that, we're gonna go into breakout rooms to start working on creating our CV. Okay, so now it is breakout room time. And I'm gonna ask our dear Adriana, that is Tras Bambalinas,
Yes,
to
here
the
we go.
shadow helping us.
Ready. You should just accept it. Hola Luis, ya te mando a tu breaking room, ¿ok? Un minuto. Hi, Flor. Enseguida te pongo en tu grupo. Ready, you just need to accept. ¿Sí te llegó la invitación, Flor? Hola, Flor. ¿Me escuchas?
Hello, welcome back. Did you enjoy the activity? Yes? No? Kind of?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Edith says
Yes.
no.
It was really good. Do we have time for more questions and then after this?
Yes,
what we were
actually, now I just want to share a few more things with you, but I'm not sure what type of questions do you have, Juan Mas, if they are related with the activity that they did.
Right, yeah. There was one question that I didn't end up, that I couldn't finish, and I think it's an important one. So is that okay if Daniel
Yeah,
asks?
go ahead.
Okay. Daniel, can you share
What
the
was-
question that,
Yes, share the question,
Sure.
please.
So about the professional experience. So if we want to describe what the company or institution is about, because it's not obvious from the name, how are we supposed to do that? Should we begin the bullet point with a verb or just go with the description?
my question for you on that one would be, why do you think that you want to describe the company?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. Can you repeat?
Why?
please?
Yeah, no problem. Why do you think that you need to describe the company?
So as my personal example, it's a company that serves to help people acquire a high school diploma. So I believe it's important because it has like a social impact, and it's not only like I'm working to teach, but it has like a little bit more of a social impact. So I believe it's important to explain what is the institution
Okay.
about.
I see what you're saying. And the name of the company, it's not really saying that. It
No,
doesn't
it's
say non-profit organization and blah 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 blah. Right.
no, it's just Aulados 86. It's his
Right.
name. So
Right.
yeah,
So
it doesn't say anything.
there's two things that I could say. One would be that in the description of what you did, try to say that as much as you can. In your description of the things that you did, make sure that is that sort of like gives the idea of, oh, so this is what the kind of organization that is, right? So that will be one, and then be as clear as you can on that. And then the other thing is, probably after the name of the company, you could add a short 2-3 words description, non-profit organization, for example, educational non-profit organization, and that's it. Like, you don't have to do a full thing. Remember that you don't have enough space. It needs to be clean. So that's what I would do. Like, in the name of the name, maybe you can add something, no more than 3 words, that can give a little bit more light on that. And then in the description of what you did at that place, you can shed more light on what the thing, describing the things that you did. That's how I would do that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Totally agree. And I hope it is you all can think about that in general, because I'm sure Daniel is not the only one that might have that question now or in a near future. Okay, with that, I have we're gonna have a few more minutes just to discuss something something else, and that will be a very controversial topic that has been going on this day about in artificial intelligence. What do you think about that? Are you in favor or against to use artificial intelligence? Grecia just smiled when I said that. Have you used it? I got you. I think have you used it? You have used it? Sí, pero no.
I used it once when I was trying to find like internships. So I think it's like a really good tool if you want to find, or if you want to search through all the web because there's like tons of information, and it kind of helps you like filter sometimes things.
Okay. And have you thought about using it for, let's say, your application, for your CV, for any other thing that might be related with your application? Yes, no?
I used it to, as my classmate said, to investigate schools and stuff, but I don't feel confident using it in my CV or when I write anything because I'm scared of it being like a generic response and then having, you know, like issues with plagiarism or not showing my authenticity as a person.
Yeah, that's totally a good point, especially for your essays, where the essay, I think, is the most unique part of your application that is totally related with your voice and with you and who you are. It might be a little bit dangerous, right? Okay, so machines will take over. Sarah Connor. I feel guilty about using it, but it's so very helpful. So sometimes, yes, it is a tool. We decide how to use it and if it's ethical or not. Daniel. Okay, good. I just wanted to have this few minutes to discuss with you. What do you think about this? Just because that all those applications, ChatGPT and others, are out there, and we are not going to be with you the whole time and saying, yes, you can use it. No, you cannot use it. I think it will depend on your criteria. What I can tell you is, from my perspective, as well as Daniel mentioned, it is a tool. At the end of the day, is out there for a reason. It was created to help you to maximize your work. Just be careful when you decide to use it and when it's too generic. When it can be, when it can gives you a very generic response, and that is something that we don't want to do, right? So I just want to share with you, for example, that I tried to use it to create a CV just to see how it will work. And it looks very generic. It looks very generic, you know, like I wrote a prompt and then it pops out my education, research experience, teaching experience, internship experience, leadership rounds, and blah, 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 and so on. But at the end of the day, when you start reading, it sounds very, very, very generic. So, but what about if you use it just, for example, can you help me to improve this specific sentence? How you put it in other words? Maybe you are having a hard time to find a specific verb or a specific word or something, and you might be able to use it for this purpose. Or maybe you don't, or maybe from this sentence, you will have a better idea on how to improve and say it in your own words. The only thing that I want to show you now with this is that we are not either against or in favor of using it. We just wanted for you to know that as any other resources is out there, so be critical on when, how, and why are you using it. And I'm not sure if my colleagues wants to add something. Yes, Juana.
Yeah, I just want to add, I totally agree with the fact that it is a tool. And I really want to compare that with the activity that we just did in breakout rooms and how much discussion it is on deciding how to say certain things, what things you should write, what things you shouldn't write, what words to use. So there's a lot of crafting in these documents. And like Mabel was showing you, it is a great way to get ideas, probably to get something started, to get, oh, I did, because also we need to agree also in this, writing in English, it's not our first language. So we might be limited also by certain things that could be better on that. So with that, say, let's use the tools that we have available, knowing that it's a telling of our lives. That's why our CVs are going to be very different. Eladios and Juan Manuel and Adriana's and Daniel, they're going to look different because it's a telling of our lives. And nobody can tell our lives better than ourselves, right? But please look for support. Look for support through the advisors. Look for support because, I mean, as a tool, you can use also, you can use templates, right? What do we tell you with templates? Templates could be a good starting point for you, but they're not going to be the best one to end with at the end, right? You can use, as in the past, we were saying, oh, Google Translator is going to come and ruin everything. It's not doing things perfectly because at the end, you need to go through that again, right? So again, as every tool that comes our way, we need to check, review, use it, but we need to see what the result is and how it reflects really our lives and what we're doing, right? So that will be only the addition that I want to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Hanma. Well, I just wanted to throw that up because it's out there and we cannot ignore them. Okay, so couple more things. And it's in red. No matter what you use, Education USA advisors will be your best allies. So believe me when I say that all of the advisors involved, we are really committed with you and with this process. So any doubt, any question, please feel free to reach out to any of us. We are going to be your best allies during this journey. Okay, and remember, that's what Hanma said, you are the only one that can tell your story and you are unique and that's your superpower. Your uniqueness is your magic. Okay, so any final questions that you might have? Just a few, something to remember. These are the deadlines. So on next Tuesday, you will have to upload or send to your advisor the first draft of your CV. We are only going to have one feedback. We're only going to review your CV once. So it was very important for us that during this session, you were able to clear out most of your doubts so you can deliver a very good first CV draft, all right? And you are going to work also on drafts, essay drafts, and here are the dates. We're gonna have two revisions of your CVs, of your essays, sorry. Just to remind you these important dates in case you haven't seen them yet. And with that, yeah, questions. Someone had a question. You're welcome, Teresa. Yeah, Juan Manuel.
Yeah, I have a question on the publication part. Is there a recommended citation style that we should use, or that like totally up to us?
In my experience, most of my advisees use APA style. But I think there is not like a specific or mandatory format.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other question? Oh, we lost Juanma. Ah,
I'm here.
there he is. Okay, any other questions? No? With that, I'm going to ask you to open up your cameras and take a picture. Take a picture, and then we're free to go and to enjoy our Saturday, because today is champions. There is champions. Okay, ready? Adri, Jesus, open up your cameras. Adri, are you there? And Jesus is missing. I think he's not able to. Oh, okay. It's okay. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Just let me check if it.
You can send the
Well-
picture. You can send the picture to Jesus and he can add his picture on Photoshop.
Good. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Okay. With that, that will be all. Thank you very much for being
Before-
here. Yeah,
before
sorry.
everyone-
Don't go anywhere. Juanma has something important to say.
Before everyone leaves, please check your inboxes, your email. I sent you an email last night with a survey that I really would appreciate it if you can answer during the weekend before noon on Monday. So please, I need it. Adriana, yes, like
Yeah, regarding that forms, in the academic part, it says list all your academic honor awards achievements, but the next question is list 5 highlights you want to emphasize, but about the ones that we already wrote or another one.
they should be different. So the highlights could be something that it really wasn't probably an academic honor, but something that you're doing recently, something that you say, okay, so I published something, or I've been working on a specific program or research thing, or I started working on something else, something that has changed, because the information that we have from you, it's almost 4 months from 4 months ago, 5 months ago, when you submitted the application. So anything new that you have done that you want to highlight, you're currently working on something, your thesis came through or something. So not exactly your academic honors, but a little bit other things that you want to highlight on your, or something that is part of your CV, right? Something that is really important. So not really that recent, but something that is important, not exactly academic honors.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Juanma, in that part, can they add, for example, if they are a first generation student or something like
Right,
that?
yes, things like that, things that have to do with your identity, things that are important to you, those could be also there too.
Excellent. Okay.
Perfect. Ahora sí, thank you.
Okay, so we're good to go. Enjoy your Saturday and have a nice weekend.
Thanks, you too. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.